Let me show you how easy it is to transform product marketing release notes for a product release into social media content. In this demo that I will show you, I will show how we can take product release notes that are generated for internal use only by the product management team, published into an internal Google Doc, as an example, and then transform that into content for LinkedIn, your email newsletter, and Twitter or X. So let me show you how this is set up. For the purposes of this demo, I've sort of fabricated a lot of things and set things up differently than how it would be in a real world scenario. But let me show you how I've set this up for this demo. Here I have a product release notes for a completely fake product for a completely fake company. So this is a fake product of a January release update by the company Streamline Pro for their version 2026.1 release. And they're calling it, this version, Cohesion. And notice how, for the purposes of this demo, this document is for internal use only to product engineering and design teams. And this is entirely written for that internal audience, meaning here's an executive summary. Here are the new features that are released. And in this example product for this fake company, this is more like an engineering focused GitHub two-way sync. And here it's showing you this is an enterprise plan only. And then another improvement or feature is integrated PRD editor, and then advanced audit logs, and then performance improvements, bug fixes, and then known issues for this release. So we're going to transform that release notes into a LinkedIn post, newsletter, and a 5 Twitter thread with images for each, specifically for each platform or somewhat what each platform accepts. Let me show you how this is set up, how this demo is built, and then I will demonstrate it for you. This agent does not use any user inputs. You would run this manually, or one example you might use is to start this from such as like a webhook. And when your product management team publishes this to an internal platform like Jira or what have you, then it would push a webhook to trigger this. But there are no user inputs. And for this demo, I'm just going to run this manually through debugger. Then what it does is that it fetches a Google Doc. And in this Google Doc, of course, I'm accessing it from my Google Doc, and I have a specific document that I just showed you what it looks like. And it is exporting to Markdown and saving it to a variable called internal release notes. Now it will run these 3 run workflow blocks and run them once. And notice how there's this pink box around these 3. What these mean is 2 things. One, these 3 blocks are grouped together. And secondly, they will run in parallel. What does that mean for these blocks to run in parallel? That means that if any one of these blocks are triggered or set to run in this workflow run, then it will trigger all of them. They will essentially run simultaneously. And then it ends. And that is the whole purpose of this agent. So now let's take a look at each one of these workflows. This one is running a workflow called LinkedIn Post. This one is running one called Newsletter, and this one is running called X Posts. Notice for each one of these have launch variables, and it is outputting to each one of these workflows the variable called internal release notes, which is what this output variable is here. So now let me take a look at the LinkedIn Post workflow. Here we see it has that launch variable, internal release notes. And now this is using that variable to write a LinkedIn post based on that release notes to function as a business-to-business software as a service product managing lead, and then can transform these release notes. I don't write transform in this prompt, but essentially convert these internal release notes and then convert it for an external audience like LinkedIn, specify who the audience is, and then specific parameters for how I want this LinkedIn post to be written. And now it takes that draft of this release notes. Here it is called LinkedIn Post, and use that to generate an image. It is essentially taking the release notes and then taking the draft for the LinkedIn content and writing an image that will be part of that LinkedIn post. And I am also providing a company logo. And this company logo is something that I have already provided in the startup company logo. And it is a fake company logo that I generated for the purposes of this demo. And then it will send a Gmail draft of that LinkedIn post and image to my Gmail account. In some ways, you may want to do this, especially if you are a small marketing team, so that you can receive all of these drafts in your inbox, one after the other, and then you can review that draft and then deliver it to yourself, to your platforms of choice. Same way here, this is the newsletter. That same variable, internal release notes. And again, this is very similar, except these are slightly customized for an email newsletter. And the image size is slightly different here, 3x2 instead of 1x1 for the LinkedIn image. And they're all using that same company logo and sends a draft. For Twitter or X, it is generating those release notes and writing the text for 5-tweet thread optimized for high engagement on X. Then it generates an image as the masthead for the first tweet, and then emails you a draft of these 5 tweets with the logo, with the image in for each of these. So let me run this and show you how this works. Like I said, I'm going to run this in Debugger. So now the workflow is completed. Let me come to drafts, and notice how these drafts have not come in yet. So I'm going to refresh. And now we have these drafts. And we can take a look at each one of these. And if I was a small marketing team, this would save me a lot of time in having to generate content marketing material based on my product team's release notes for internal consumption. So here we see the draft of the LinkedIn post. Here's my company logo, or my fake company logo. And now describing what this release does, closing the gap between planning and building for my fake company release, and has the name of that cohesion, which is the same thing that I have here in my version number, and showing like a before and after, fragmented workflow and unify and live. And so it has today's date on the image, and has like primary features describing this feature. And the reason why it knows how to do this is because this image was generated based on the LinkedIn post content, so it knows what that will be. And now we see the draft of the LinkedIn post. Now I can copy this draft and deliver it onto LinkedIn. Let me look at the newsletter one. Here we see my company logo again. And similar look and feel, namely like here's the planning and now here's the building, showing a depiction of that feature, same feature, and showing, what the value is of that feature. And this would be the content that I would use in my email newsletter. And now lastly, we'll take a look at the Twitter or X. And here's the hero image for the first tweet. And again, showing my company logo, planning, building, stop switching, with my fake company product release. And now here is the draft of the 5-tweet thread, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with this agent, you can deliver small marketing teams a lot of time by taking your product company release notes and then transforming them into content marketing. I will share a remix link of this agent in the comments for my LinkedIn post, and watch my next video where I will show a variation of this, but for YouTube. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this informative.